Welcome back, Pretty Much Experts. I'm Robert John, artist traveling the world, still in Ireland. This is my brother Mike in the van,
Hello.
and my other brother Skyler in the furnished apartment.
Furnished.
Living ritzy.
Cash chucker. Yeah.
Fucking cash chucker.
Yeah.
Although, isn't still most of that furnished from our deceased grandmother?
Some of it, like
Some of it.
42% of it.
Yeah, I was gonna say a cool 40% or so.
Yeah. I bought a new couch. We had to buy a new couch.
Had to?
You don't got that fart couch anymore.
No, our
Dead
couch is gone. That was a
anymore.
sexy couch, though. Yeah.
Yeah,
Everybody
fart
loved that couch.
death that had all kinds of stink going on.
They don't make couches like they used to. I'll just say that. Like, I remember when I was a kid, we used to flip couches over and use them as like buildings
Oh, yeah.
and would walk on them. And like, I put this new
yeah.
couch together basically, and it's flimsy. Like,
Yeah.
you can't
Yeah,
walk
one
on
good
it.
hump and that thing is rickety as shit, right?
The back of this thing is just like fabric. There's no meat to it.
Yeah, there's no structure.
It's- Oh,
build
not at
it.
all. You could sit through it if
Yeah.
you sit too hard.
Sit right
Just
through
get
that
laid
couch.
into it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it was just, you know.
Well, you gotta
After
think
a-
that fart couch had probably 30 years of good like naps and full sleeps
Easy.
on it, right?
Easily,
And it
yeah. That
was
was
holding
like
up pretty good.
It was a late '90s couch.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so 20 good years of naps and sleeps and humps and God knows what else, right?
So many, yeah.
What'd you do?
So
with
many
it?
humps.
You burn it at the end?
Oh, we threw it in the
Viking
garbage.
Oh.
Yeah, no Viking funeral. No, it was actually like, it was pretty funny. Like, we went to the dump and like had it in my truck, and we pulled up to the dumpster and pushed the couch into the dumpster, and it was like, oh wow, like that's it, like the end of an era, right? Like that
Yeah.
couch has come a long way. And as I'm thinking that, the guy comes
Yeah.
over with his bulldozer and just fucking crushes the couch, like with his, I guess it was a bulldozer, right? Just
Yeah.
like lowered down the boom and the claw and just completely fucking crushed it in front of me. And it's like, all right, well, yeah, it's definitely over now. Like, can't be fishing it out even if I wanted
No
to.
take backs.
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
it was fucked.
Yeah, when I was living up north, like the dump is a pretty big social hot spot.
Can
You know what I
imagine.
mean? Like you
Oh,
go to the
yeah.
dump, and there's always someone you know or an old guy that you talk to every time you go there. There's a few classics that I won't get into, but classic old men. But it's pretty much every time you throw anything in the wood pile, the guy's there immediately to crush it, no matter what quality it's
Yeah.
in, how
Yeah.
usable it still is. He's just there with his hand on the throttle, ready to
Yeah.
bomb that bobcat over at 2 miles an hour to fucking crush
He
it.
sees you. He sees you as soon as you
Yeah.
come in. And he just gets
Yeah.
in his fucking bobcat.
Yeah, and meh, just fucking motors over. Just he's ready. He can't wait. Like, and I mean, I get it. Like crushing shit's super fun. So, be the
Oh,
highlight
man.
of my day too.
But like I know like our parents have a cottage, and we go to it, and there's a dump, and the people that you encounter at the dump are like a special breed of people.
Oh, dump
you know?
people.
Oh, yeah.
Like,
Dump people.
yeah,
Yeah,
dump
salt
people.
of the earth, really.
There was at the dump that we go to, there's like, you just throw your dump off the cliff, and it's like a giant
Yeah.
landfill.
Bunch of bears.
It's a bunch of bears, but there's also like beside the cliff, there's like a pile that you can pile shit up that's like still good. You just don't want anymore. If someone else wants it, they can just take it. And there was like a pair of like alpine skis that were there. And like these two dudes, like it was a guy and a girl. The girl was just wearing like a top of a bathing suit, and she was like pretty big girl, pretty big. So she was
Yeah.
just wearing the top of a bathing suit and shorts, and he was wearing like track pants, a fanny pack, and a half t-shirt cut off
yeah,
so you
crop
could see
top.
his stomach. Had long hair, obviously hiding the skullet, and a hat.
Yeah.
And they were looking at these alpine skis, and they were arguing where he was like, I think we can take them. And she's like, you've never alpine skied in your life. And he was like, I alpine skied. I used to be really good at it. I think I should take those. And it's like, there's no mountains around here. You're
No.
never going to use these skis
This is his
at
big
all.
push, dude. This is his
Yeah.
lifestyle change.
This was his big Saturday, right? Like, let's go
Yeah,
to the
yeah,
dump
yeah.
and see if there's anything.
Like this is where it all turns around for Raymond.
Yeah. Yeah, there was nothing in the pile but the skis, and he's like, I'm not going home empty-handed, and Brandy wasn't going to let him go home empty-handed.
Yeah, Brandy and Raymond.
Yeah. Raylyn. I don't know what her name was.
Charlene Lynn. It's always a two name.
Tiffany Amber. Yeah.
Charlene.
There's always a Joe attached to that.
This was years ago, Mike. Do you remember we went to that monster truck rally and we dressed like fucking assholes? And
Totally.
I
was actually dressed pretty normal, to be honest.
We turned it up a little bit.
I was kind of just wearing my work clothes.
You had your basic overalls on. But I wore this like...
Yeah, we turned it up.
I like a mullet wig that went down to my ass,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
a trucker cap. Went to the monster truck
Yeah.
show. And like, we had a great time. But I was so aware...
Fucking fantastic time.
...of everybody like looking at me and like secretly taking pictures. Because it was a very convincing
on the
look.
transit, like the whole way there.
The whole way there, even when we were there. And just like kind of feeling bad because like I'm pretty like regular at that. Like I see some monster in public, like I'm going to get a couple snaps. And realizing like, oh, these people fully know you're taking photos of them. Like me pretending to be texting while actually just taking a photo fools nobody.
Yeah, you're texting
Nobody
up
texts
here,
like this,
right?
yeah.
Like you don't normally text up here at people. Yeah,
I do that all the time.
Texting like you're getting in the picture.
Yeah.
And turning around and getting a selfie. Yeah.
It's super obvious. Yeah, there was that poor helpless family that sat immediately below us
beer
in the
all over 'em.
nosebleeds that just got the kid, like there's an 8-year-old kid that's just covered in beer by the end of it because it was the first time I had ever seen it. Like they had those glasses that fill up from the bottom.
Yeah.
Right? It was at like whatever stadium, and it was like every time you did anything with these glasses, they eject a little bit of fluid out of the bottom. Like if you look at them the wrong way, they're squirting out of the bottom. And it was like we just cut, and then we're spilling over the top of the glass too, as you do. Our $10 beers, having a fucking great time, huffing fumes, dousing this poor family in our $10 beers, like fucking fantastic.
I remember the kid was like so polite and like reminded me of myself. Like I just don't want to be a bother to anybody. And the fucking kid's seat was so fucking soaked in beer, and he just keeps inching up just to use the like tip of it, so he doesn't have to say anything. Like he cannot use that chair. Like they have that saying like, buy the whole seat, but you only need the edge. Like this fucking kid only had the edge.
Yeah, we totally made that happen for that kid that day. We had a
you
fucking
ruined
great
his night.
time,
It sounds like he didn't get to sit down. His little legs couldn't take it.
Couldn't sit down.
You know,
Probably
take it
died
as
on
a
the
life
walk
lesson. Free life lesson. You
Life
know,
lesson,
if you're gonna show up to monster trucks, you never know what you're gonna get.
Yeah,
covered in beer.
I think just kids in general, like they just don't know. Welcome to life. You don't know.
Dude,
what
that was
you're
so
gonna get.
fun. That was so fucking fun.
Segue?
But yeah, like you were wearing a mullet wig and short shorts. I think my roommate at the time had like her get up going, right? Like same thing, short shorts, maybe a braid in with a beer cap around it or something. Like just total trash. Just crop tops. I think RJ had a crop top on too and short shorts. Like
it was really silly.
Really trashy. Night. Really trashy.
It was a real fun night,
And I mean, and honestly, I was just wearing my work clothes, but turned it up with the
I just got home
booze
from work.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
Oh, it was fucking great.
All right,
well, should we get into the topic at hand?
Yeah, speaking of kids not knowing what they're getting themselves into.
Oh, for fuck's sake.
So, this week we all watched the new Netflix show, Abducted in Plain Sight.
Yeah. And let's put a disclaimer out for this episode.
Okay.
We didn't do it. We didn't do it with the Stephen Avery one. Like I'll speak for myself and likely RJ.
Yep.
I don't know about Rue, but I'll speak for us all and say that I didn't look into this any further.
No.
Like this is as much as I watched the show, and that's what I'm basing all my opinions on. Okay, so anyone listening or viewing, it's like fuck yourself. I didn't dig any deeper. Okay? Everything I'm going to say is based on just this fucking viewing.
I did one quick search of like things you should know about, or like things like they left on the cutting room floor. Right. And there wasn't anything overly big. Couple of things, but nothing.
Fuck. Do we want to just run down the key points and then our takeaways?
I guess so.
So this show is
Yeah, I guess, yeah.
basically about Jan, and the documentary starts with her being interviewed as an adult.
No, the documentary
So she's okay.
starts
So
with
she made
that
it out
guy's
alive.
super creepy voice. Like,
Yeah,
if you didn't
yeah.
know what was going to happen,
Yeah.
if you had no, like when I first watched it, your brother was like, "Hey, put this on. It's really interesting. You're gonna love it." I'm like, it's not a first date, but I'm like, I'm in the smoozing phase with this girl right now, and like if we were 2 or 3 years into a relationship, it would have ruined that night. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I was so pissed off by the end of it. But anyways, it starts off this guy's voice, and it's just the
I think you have
creepiest
to
voice in the world.
Tell the true story of like you asked me like if it was appropriate for
For a date night.
a date night, and I replied it was fun for the whole family.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you watched it.
Not
and
for
that's
their
great.
family. The
Yeah.
Birkenstocks.
Oh man.
Also, like, little side note, hardest part, the shittiest part about this was, like, I did do some research, but all of these people's names were, like, the fucking same name. They're, like, the Borgmans and the Bergstroms and the...
Totally.
Even
Rob and Bob.
Bob and
Bob.
both
Both of them
Yeah.
names were Rob, and, like,
Yeah.
holy fuck, who are they talking about? Who's touching who?
Yeah, I know.
Who's
I found
taking
that
the
pretty
kids?
hard
Absolutely
to follow,
ridiculous.
Okay,
No.
yeah. So anyway,
Yeah.
the show starts with Jan being interviewed as an adult, and that's like wrenched right into the story. It's like, oh, so she's fine. Like,
Yeah.
she gets kidnapped and she lives a happily ever after because she looks like all well done up and. Nice
I'd say
house.
it's good that they set that tone, though. Because
Yeah.
about 5 minutes into the thing, I was like, she's still with the guy. That's how the big twist at the end. I was like, she's still with this
She's
fucking
in
creep.
pieces in a freezer somewhere.
Yeah.
So it's about this like pedophile that moves in next door to like the average American family, and he just is like a salesman, and he talks his way into having sleepovers at least twice a week with the daughter, who's 12 at the time, taking her on
Jesus
trips.
Christ.
And on one of those trips, he like takes her for a bunch of months. But leading up to that, like we get these like little reveals. He fucked the mom. He fucked the dad.
Yeah, he sucked off the dad.
Sucked off the dad in the car.
It
Yeah.
was just kid stuff.
Oh my god.
Yeah, it was kid stuff.
It was
Exactly, it was kid stuff.
Like, did some
Yeah, he
kid
needed
stuff.
relief.
How
Yeah.
is that kid stuff? Like, that's just fucked if
I
you
don't
refer
know.
to it as kid stuff.
So this pedophile,
It's not
like
kid
That's a red flag.
Predator,
That's,
dude.
going back
Red
a couple,
flag.
that's a fucking huge red flag.
Yeah.
the predator,
Oh,
the
man.
predator dude, like picks up the dad from work and is just like all hard done. Like, oh, me and the wife are having marital issues. Like, I haven't, laid into her in a little while, and I'm all backed up. And he just like looks at the dad with a twinkle in his eye, takes his piece out, and just like does the basic like it's not gonna suck itself.
Yeah.
It's kid stuff.
It's just kid stuff. Like, we're not gonna tell anybody. I just need
And
some
then he
relief.
did.
And then,
And then he jerked him off. And then
He
the
jerked
dad
him off.
jerked him off.
Yeah, he masturbated him. I'll
Yeah.
have to admit, there was a couple times during this documentary that I had to turn it off and just like walk away, and it was the first
Dude.
time was because of this moment when he said that he jerked him off. I just had to walk away, and I was laughing too hard.
Didn't want to offend the roommate.
It seemed like such a stupid fucking like scary movie moment of just like, oh, because he also like we were jumping the gun here. Like, there was a little bit
Oh, yeah,
a
big
lot
time.
before he masturbated him, but he
Don't
also-
say it like that.
he also like tried to sleep with the mom and like felt her up, and
Yeah.
she was cool with it and like wanted it more of it, and then like
Yeah.
it seemed like
Yeah.
the next scene was the dad like, and then he seduced. It was such a Rocky Horror Picture Show moment. You don't get that very often.
And all this was like very like targeted.
What I'm trying to
like,
say is, for the rest of the episode, every time I saw Marianne, I just yelled "slut," and every
But
time I
this
saw
was all,
Bob,
like,
I yelled "asshole." It was great.
relief. But this was this guy's like major like plan, because when he like is also sleeping with the daughter twice a week, who's 12 years old, and
Yeah.
is like fully like, oh, they're just having a sleepover. These parents are morons.
Well, again, we're jumping the gun, but it was like the dude. Apparently, I think it's confirmed that he was, but he was like in therapy for sexual abuse that he had suffered, and part of the therapist's, whatever, like his rehabilitation was to fucking sleep with other kids, like not his own kids. Doesn't he have like 5 kids?
His own kids. Yeah.
Like part of his therapy was to share a bed with this basically random underage girl, and the parents were just like, "Yeah, that sounds legit.
We need to help him."
You know,
and he would also then listen
new age
to like
therapy.
a headset of like sex noises and someone talking about.
Oh my god, there's so many things that piss me off in this movie. But to backtrack a little bit, the first thing that pissed me off was like at the opening scene, Jan. She's like they're kind of going through things, but they're like not really alluding to any of the details or what actually happened. But they're basically, for the first 5 minutes of the movie, like first 5-10 minutes, like I'm already fucking pissed off because they're saying how perfect their life is and their childhood was great and they were the typical American family and all this stuff, and it's like, and then in hindsight, you know, flash forward fucking 5 more minutes, and it's like, are you kidding me? Like, how can you say that? Like, you can't say that you had the perfect life and your childhood was normal. Aside from this, like, this one crazy thing that happened for 10 fucking years.
I had, like the most normal childhood until July 1st, 1976.
Like, that,
right? Like,
that fucking pissed me off.
Yeah.
That got me up my blood boiling. And that's what had the potential to ruin this perfectly good date night, was I was just, like, pissed off for 90 minutes.
The parents were so frustrating.
That's fair. That's
so
fair. I'm sorry that your date...
But
it went fine. Awesome. It went fine. It went fine. We had a great talk afterwards. We got into some stuff. But like I said, if this was like 2 or 3 years into a relationship, like I would have went to bed pissed off. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
I know there's gonna be sex tomorrow. I wouldn't even have pushed my luck.
So was there sex after?
Well, we'll just say there might have been. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Well, hours after.
Wow.
Hours.
Just some kid stuff, or
just some kid stuff, or
you've heard of rage boners, right? Like everyone gets a rage boner from time to time.
Yeah, I bet.
Blood's boiling.
Yeah.
I was gonna say though, like this Predator, I have to give him like credit in his like way he destroyed this family, because he like he like
no
started
no
like
one's saying he was bad at that.
No, that's like
no
he's
one's
a
saying
horrible,
that he's got bad
horrible
ideas.
person. But like when you look at his plan of like, okay, I'm gonna start having sleepovers at the house. I'm gonna fuck the mom. I'm gonna fuck the dad, and then I'm just gonna take the kid on vacation. And they didn't call the police for like how long? 2 weeks?
Like 5 days. 5 days the first time.
Yeah.
Because both
But the first time she went missing, they were gone.
Yeah.
She was gone for like 6 weeks or something.
Yeah, but they didn't even
No,
call
but it was 5 days before they called the police.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
But the whole thing
they didn't
was
want
like, neither of them wanted
anymore,
to like
right?
admit to the other one, like, oh, I'm like sleeping with him and I trust him. Like, he's totally fine.
Now, when she disappeared the first time, were they, like, they were cahooting
They had
with
both
this guy
already
too?
jerked him off at least once.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And another thing, they never talk about the dad after that. He mentions it one time, but you fucking know there was some pre and post to that being masturbated.
Like, here's some
there
like,
had to have been.
One of the things that I read the after the fact is that unfortunately Bob has since passed away. I think he died in November of 2018.
Yeah.
So we'll never know the full extent of the affair that he had with B.
Yeah.
But his wife has said on his behalf that there wasn't any more than just the hand job in the car.
Right.
Yeah.
Which, now, I understand your skepticism.
I have a lot.
And maybe that's good enough, right? Like, that sets the tone. You don't need to fill in all the gory details.
The thing is, like, her argument, I guess, or her opinion was that that's all B had needed at the time, was that it's not like I need to have this ongoing affair as long as I have one, like, bullet in the chamber of, because it was all about the blackmail, right?
Yeah.
It was about like he was gonna out Bob the father as a homosexual at a time when that wasn't cool,
and they're
right?
in some,
like people.
Weird ass religion, obviously.
Yes.
Latter-day Saints.
Church of Latter-day Saints, I believe.
Whatever.
But yeah,
and
he
so
also
that
owned
came,
like a flower shop.
They're like, you know, really like trying
was...
to like get the police involved and shit, and then word came out like, you guys got to back off, or else I'm gonna like reveal some information about you being gay.
Yeah,
and his dad, and that pisses me off so much because then the dad's like all so concerned about that he's like, all right, like you can just have my 12-year-old daughter for another couple
that was
months.
the most infuriating part of this whole thing. Was that they didn't want to ruin their fucking social image, that like vain, like I don't want my friends and people at the church to know, so we're gonna retract statements and we're gonna fucking you know, again, we're jumping ahead, but that was the fucking most infuriating part of this whole fucking
like, honestly,
documentary.
Like,
the whole vainness to like, oh, we're not gonna fucking do the right thing and put this guy away because we don't want to ruin our social image. Like, fuck you, seriously, fuck you.
Oh, for sure.
Like, I don't care. It's the 70s. It's naive. You've never heard of what a pedophile was. You know what's right and wrong.
Yeah,
like that's timeless. So
they did. One of the detectives said that like he had never heard the term pedophile before this case and had no idea what that was. Right? Like, it's like, holy fuck, right? Like, but I get it. I don't know. I get the like you don't want the shame, but there just comes a point where it's like, what is worse?
Right? Who takes the hit? Exactly. I take the hit, or my kid takes the hit.
It's your kid. Like, what the
fuck?
fuck?
Hit regularly.
Yeah,
the kid was taking hits.
Yeah, I get like there's some things where it's just like, hey, like we're trying to blackmail you, and it's like, okay, I don't need that to come out. I'll go along with it. But the guy is like fucking your kid and wants to like marry your child who's like 12, and you're just like, oh well, maybe we should just send her off. I don't know. It was.
This fucking
well, you were saying too, like the dude was a master, right? Like he drove a wedge into that family. He manipulated the parents into thinking that it was part of his therapy. I mean, and even his brother, who is like, when you watch the first video or like the first sighting of his brother,
I liked his brother.
seems
cool.
seems a little suspect though. You know, seems a little suspect.
Maybe
I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe it's the fucking accent or whatever. But he just like, and he had this like nonchalant way about saying things. Where like, we all knew he was a a diddler or whatever he says.
Problem with the underage kids? Yeah, he did.
Yeah,
yeah.
But he also goes on to say that he was like the best car salesman he ever had.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. Like, because that's his personality.
Because he was a good car salesman. Let's not forget.
Well, he's a good salesman. Period. Right.
Yeah.
Manipulator. Yeah.
Take your kid off you, and you don't even call the cops.
But I mean, like, just admit that you jerked the guy off, right? Yeah. Like, I think that's the moral of the story. Like, if you jerked him off, you jerked him off. Who cares?
Like, just deny it.
Deny it. Yeah, you don't have to admit it. Just deny it.
Your kid's word against yours. Like,
I don't think.
Exactly.
I think the opposite.
So you're gonna retract an affidavit.
Just own it.
And
just like,
it all came out in the end.
Yeah.
So what the fuck was it for?
I spit on my hand too. That's what happened. You know, and you know what happens when you do
own
that?
Up to it. Exactly.
You avoid your child being kidnapped twice.
Yeah. So to finish up the first kidnapping, the predator, they just called him B because his name was also Bob, the same name as his dad. B takes a kid from like Ohio or some shit all the way down to Mexico and marries her at 12 years old because it's legal there.
And the aliens.
But so he can't take her back to the U.S. because it's like he fucking kidnapped her. So he wants to like smooth it over. So like he's calling home and being like, hey, we got married. We're in love. Like if I come back, like I want you to endorse this marriage and don't, do anything weird. Don't call the police. And the parents are kind of like, I don't know, man. Like I kind of have a problem with that.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, well, we're gonna stay
cool
here.
With this.
Yeah, we're gonna stay down here until you don't have a problem with it. And the whole time he's like drugging the kid with sleeping pills, playing these tape recordings of his voice.
Yeah, like I think
saying like oh, we're aliens.
We may have glossed over it, but it was like there's a weird story here where poor Jan wakes up and is brainwashed and convinced about her having to save her planet Earth, that she's an alien and that she has to give birth to somebody to save the planet. Like she's basically Mary from the story.
And she needs
Jesus.
to find basically a male donor.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
She's still laying in bed. She's hearing all this brainwashed propaganda shit.
Yeah. Like this was the thing that drove me nuts, was that like she was just so on board day one that it's like she gets told the story that like, hey, you're gonna save Earth and you have to give birth and we're gonna introduce you to your male counterpart. He's outside the door. You just go out there.
Yeah.
The thing that drove me nuts
one thing that's worth
like,
saying is that like she was so caught up in religion and the church, and she says right away, like initially my first thought was like, oh, this is like a modern day Jesus type of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know this story.
This is what drives me nuts, and like I don't want to like sound like a crazy person or anything, but it's like this is what happens when you fucking tell your children stories about things that just are not true.
Yeah.
And like it's like you know, like Santa Claus, the Tooth Fairy, it's like they are susceptible to believing things that are just not true, and like they will believe it, and then there comes a point when they're like, you know, 17, and it's like, hey, you got to stop fucking believing in Santa. Like, have you not caught on yet? Like, it's up to them to discover that it's not true.
Yeah, because you can make something up that has a ring of truth in that bullshit, right? They believe Santa and Jesus and all this stuff to be, you know, 100% factual.
Yeah.
So you can tell them stuff that rings true within.
Yeah.
You know,
I heard this story before about the girl she was a virgin and she had to give birth, and it was Jesus, and that's what I believe. So these aliens, Zara and Zaina, whatever the fuck their names are, must be telling the truth. Haven't seen their faces. Here it is.
A hot take, and I'm going to get the huge victim blaming fingers pointed, but this is an idea.
Fuck. It's RJ Patterson at Gmail.
I don't know if I totally believe the alien part.
Okay. Like, you think that was kind of something that they fabricated after the fact?
Absolutely raped and all that horrible stuff happened to her, but I just it just sounds too fantastic and wraps it up in a perfect little bow that she doesn't
like she was brainwashed in a more natural way,
or even just like she was just, you know, molested
12 and infatuated,
like, hurt and all that violence like against her will, and this is kind of like a way, you know, years later to like justify like maybe like her behavior, because there was a bunch of years when she was like, no, we do love each other, blah blah blah. Instead of her being like, I was just a 12 being a victim and Stockholm syndrome, like this is something that like kind of like gives her an out, like, oh, I didn't actually love him, I just thought that was part of, I don't know. Because it just comes to the trial at the end when he just denies all that. Like, that never fucking happened. But
at the end of the movie,
he doesn't deny, like, oh yeah, I did everything else.
If any part of her story is true, it makes him a piece of garbage, and then, you know what I mean? It's like, even if there was aliens, maybe they didn't even go to Utah. I don't know, but if, like, any part of that story is true, then he's a piece of garbage.
Oh, he is full garbage.
Well, for sure.
And she was 100%
But I get what you're saying.
Without blame.
I get what you're saying,
I get
RJ.
what
Like,
you're
it does
saying,
seem a little suspect.
She told that one story towards the end of the show about how when she was like older and all of the little prophecies that she was told didn't come true.
Yeah.
And I felt like that was a genuine, like, I think she believed it. I think she really bought into the fact that this was a thing.
Well, she does say at that point, she's like, oh, this kid bought me an ice cream or whatever, and I was like convinced, and then I phoned home and the dogs were sick, and I was like, okay, I'm gonna kill my sister. Like, that was something she said. I'm gonna tell my sister this plan. If she's not okay with it, I'm gonna kill her and kill myself, and that way it's done.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And then she phoned home, like, I guess they talked again later in the day, and the mom was like, okay, the mom was probably like, she's obviously dealing with something internally. Whether the dogs are fine or not, She told her the dogs are fine, and then she's again a 13-year-old kid now, 14, naive as fuck still, and was like, okay, well then everything is fine. Right, but so that does
I don't know.
bring
What
some
was
genuine.
the mom's reaction there was probably at the same time like, oh, I should call up B and go fuck him because she fucked him repeatedly. You know what I mean? Like she went back like
for
twice.
like 8 months or something. They said
at least twice a month or something.
Yeah,
like this is just a textbook. Like if you're a parent, watch this and do the complete opposite of everything they do.
Exactly. Like you're worried about your social image and the vanity that you're not going to put this guy in jail the first time he fucking takes your kid.
Yeah.
Because you're worried about what people think you, but you're still going to go fuck this guy. It's like, come on.
Yeah.
Like the mom and dad are pieces of shit. I don't care how loving they are behind the scenes or all their good qualities. Like, deep down,
they're the true villains of the
mom
story.
For sure.
Well, there's 3 villains. He's still a villain, but
he's still a villain. Yeah.
So after he goes to Mexico, marries a kid, and they're like, okay, come back and it'll all be fine. But they just honey-dicked him, and he came back, and they like hit him with some charges. But then that's when they started to change the story. So he only ended up getting like a year or something.
No, it was like 30 days.
Yeah,
he got
45 days or something.
A month and a half.
A month in jail.
Month and a half.
He did 10 days on good behavior because he didn't fucking jerk anyone off or.
And that's when he came out and
convince anyone to jerk him off.
The mom starts sleeping with him again. Like all is forgiven. He moves away, opens a water park or something, and then like, what's her name again? Jan. Like. Basically goes to work with him for the summer.
Yeah, he hasn't been to jail yet at this point. He still hasn't been to jail.
Yeah, okay.
No, he gets convicted and they're like, you're going to do 45 days in jail.
Yeah, but
and he's like,
he
okay.
didn't go to jail until the second.
And he left and went and bought a water park.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the kid goes to work for him for the whole summer. And he just like continues. And then
the mom sends the kid.
Mom sends
because
the kid,
she's fearful that she's just going to run away on her own. Yeah. She's like, okay, well, at least if I send her, then I know, right?
Yeah.
Which is...
And, like, B was calling her. B called her, like, every day and was just like, if you don't let her go, she's just going to start hooking and prostituting, like...
Yeah.
Really?
Is she just going to get that idea herself? Like, she's fucking 13, dude.
This isn't even considered the second kidnapping, is the crazy part.
No, this is her just going on vacation.
And I don't think that she stayed later and, like, the mom had to go and find her in, not find her, but it was, like, she flew to Salt Lake City where they were, you know what I mean? Like, it was, like, you can come get your daughter, but not in the same city where B is, right? Yeah. Like, it's like, it's fucking nuts. Absolutely
And, like,
crazy.
where the fuck is his family and his wife and his kids? Like,
Probably
what the fuck do they think?
His brother was, like, kind of cool with it. He was like, he's happy.
Yeah.
Yeah. As long as he was happy. I don't know. He was touching kids and...
Yeah.
He always
he seemed happy or whatever he said,
He's a great car salesman.
Yeah, fuck's sake.
So then, I don't really remember how he ended up kidnapping her again the second time. It was basically she ran away from home, left a note, said she was, running away and never wanted to see anyone again, but she was secretly at his place.
That's the story that basically they constructed for the parents to believe. But I guess towards the end of the documentary, it was like Jan says, "Oh yeah, he met me at my window, assisted me. Yeah. We left a note. I guess she was with him until he went to jail for those 10 days. Supposed to be 45 days.
They drove to California, and he enrolled her in an all-girls school.
Yeah,
and then he went to jail.
Salt Lake City, but no, like, and he would go and visit her on weekends, kind of thing. So like they weren't.
But
together.
In that time frame, they left the second time. The whole enrollment thing happened before he went to jail, but that was when he did his 10 days in jail, right? And now she's enrolled in this Christian school.
Yeah.
And he's in jail, released from jail. But now she's enrolled in this school, and then he would go and visit her.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it went like 7 months.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the abductor, B, would phone the parents and be like, have you heard from her? And they're like, no. Like all freaking out. He's like, well, I talked to her on the phone. She said she's okay. And they're like, she's not with you? He's like, nope, she won't tell me where she is, but she's okay. And then it becomes this, like, flip of, like, well, he's the middleman. So, like, okay, well, tell her that we still love her. And we're like, it's like, dude, he fucking has her. You morons. Like, how do you not know this?
Yeah.
Yeah.
At least the FBI
Like, she is
kind of
enrolled
caught
in
on
this
by
school.
then.
The FBI knew right away as soon as they fucking got him involved. Like, it's the same
Oh, fuck
FBI
yeah.
agent from the first kidnapping. And, like, he's
Yeah.
in the documentary, and he's like, oh, when he took her again, I got the call that, you know, he had her again. He's just like, what the fuck? Like,
Yeah.
how is it
Are you
possible?
fucking kidding me? Yeah.
And it was like the family just like believed him that, like, I mean, at that point they didn't know she was enrolled in this school,
No.
and I don't think you know either when you're watching the documentary. I can't really remember.
No, you
but
don't know where
it's
she
like,
is. Yeah.
how the fuck do you like your only suspicion is that she's obviously with him, right?
Yeah.
Obviously.
And then she calls the house
Yeah, one time.
at some
I think
point.
She does. Yeah.
Yeah. And I mean, like, obviously, like, you haven't seen your kid for 100 fucking days or whatever. You know, you're worried. You're gonna be like, how are you doing? Are you safe? What's going on? But like, I don't know. Do they ask her about
They
this
asked
B
her a
guy?
bunch of
Does that
times,
come
like,
up?
when's she coming home? When's she coming home?
Yeah,
and
they
she
just
keeps
were
replying,
crying
like,
the
I
whole
just
time.
called to hear your voice. I just want to say hi.
Yeah.
I want to hear your voice. And they're like, when are you coming home? Are you? I just want to
You're
hear
coming
your
home, bro.
voice.
You're coming home.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, I'll talk to you. And
Yeah.
they're like, okay, goodbye. I'll talk to you later, Jan.
No, they do, but
Yeah.
she does say something about, like, I guess they do say something about B because they're like, you still gonna marry him or something,
Yeah.
or does he still want to marry you?
Yeah.
Yeah. See, and she wanted to marry him. I think that's where the whole alien thing comes back to being true. Like, she was
Yeah.
fucked. She
Or
got
not
fed
true,
some
like,
And
it
shit.
that's
could
where
be-
I
it could
lean
go
that,
either
like, I
way.
don't believe the
Yeah.
alien thing. I think
No,
It could
she
go
got
either way.
fed some shit.
I think she
I
got
think
fed
she
some
got-
shit for sure.
She was obviously
legitimately,
brainwashed.
like, you know,
Yeah.
fell for him. Like, I don't know what he told
Yeah.
her. Happily ever after.
I think the alien story is too outlandish to, like, not be true.
It sounds like something a kid would make up, though, to justify, like, oh, I didn't actually love him. I was just, you know, doing the plan. But it's like,
Yeah,
you're a
I don't know,
kid. You have
but
a
kids
full-
are also apparently jerking each other
I don't
off.
know.
So,
Yeah,
like, what
but-
else are they capable of?
Yeah, and again, to all the people that
Like-
want to victim blame, she was 100% a victim, and I think she's just trying to,
Yeah.
you know, she
Rationalize, I
feels
don't
responsible.
know.
She absolutely shouldn't, and I kind of felt like that alien
Mm-hmm.
story was a way of her being like, I was justified in the way I acted.
This
those
is how
years.
I justify. Yeah.
That's the
Yeah.
that's the way
I see
felt.
your side. I see your side, and I also understand, like, how it's presented in the documentary. I don't feel one way about it, but I do see where you're coming from. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, it could
I
go
don't
that
agree
way.
with it, but
No, you don't.
okay.
That's just the way I felt watching it. I'm like, this is poor kid.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it
Oh,
was,
yeah, poor
I
kid
don't know,
for sure.
the whole thing, like,
So she eventually
I don't
goes
know.
back home. The FBI finds
did they
her.
they caught him a second, they did arrest him, right? Like,
Yeah.
the
But-
second time.
I don't think he got charged. Oh, he did the second time?
I don't remember.
I don't think
I don't
he-
remember.
I don't
About-
remember.
Um,
He got charged with something.
I think because he hadn't actually kidnapped her. They
Right.
couldn't prove
no, the
that he had
FBI,
kidnapped
the
her,
FBI
right?
does surveillance on, does surveillance on his house,
everything.
Yeah.
and finds out that she's at this place. They bring her back home. I don't
They
know.
arrested
No,
him
I don't
for-
think he was.
I don't think he was
charged
charged.
with anything.
They
Yeah.
did arrest him in his, like, mobile home in Utah
Yeah.
when they
Yeah,
when they found her in the Catholic schoolgirl home.
Yeah.
But I don't
Yeah.
remember what the actual charges were. I don't think they, like, stuck because he didn't actually confine her or anything.
No.
They couldn't prove
couldn't
that he
prove.
was the one that took her.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think
Yeah.
they knew. I don't think any of that comes out until after, when she starts telling the story. Like,
Yeah,
oh yeah,
years
he
later.
was behind the door or behind the window,
Mhm.
right?
Yeah.
Like, I opened the window, he was there and helped me out, and we drove to California.
And the nuns at the school said that he would
Yeah.
come and visit on the weekends, but they thought he was her dad.
Yeah. A CIA
Yeah, because he
agent.
made up that whole fucking CIA agent
Yeah.
bullshit.
Yeah.
Like the 70s was the time to like get a leg up
Get
on
away with
everything.
anything.
Honestly, man,
Apparently.
people were so stupid in the 70s. That's
away
like
with
the
it.
moral of this show, I find. Holy
No
fuck,
documentation, no fucking proof. Just like take my
No.
word that I'm a CIA agent, and anyone that comes looking for this fucking poor helpless girl, you know, is against this, is against
Like,
me, and is
I
looking for us.
understand-
Like
I
fuck
understand
off.
To the
if
point
you're
that
not
when
gonna
the
ask
FBI
for, like-
shows up, the priests are like, "Yeah, we know.
I don't
Wink,
know.
wink, you're FBI. Like we were
Yeah.
told
Yeah.
you're
Yeah,
coming."
exactly.
Bullshit.
But even it's like, so like, did they show like? I understand that if maybe you're not going to ask for identification to be a CIA agent, but like, is there a birth certificate for this child that your name is on?
You'd think.
Right?
Oh,
Like,
yeah,
that's-
exactly. You think there would be, and it would
But
be.
then when the
obviously
FBI
not the
shows
name
up,
that
you're
we're
like,
given.
wait a minute. Let me see your credentials, right? Like, what the
Yeah.
fuck?
Yeah.
This guy
So
that said he was
fucked
a
up.
CIA agent, and her father said, don't talk to anybody but us, and you're FBI, so you're under CIA. I don't fucking know how that works. I think they're under, but
It
I
makes
don't
me so fucking pissed
It's
off. Like,
frustrating.
it
Oh,
gets me so
terrible
fucking worked up.
parents. Terrible
Horrible.
parents.
Yeah.
Horrible. Yeah. Just the
Like-
judgment on all this. Like they're trying to protect their own. It's that going back to that vanity thing. Like they're protecting their own social status and everything in their community because they don't want to be judged. And it's like you're letting all this shit happen
Yeah.
Would
as
you,
a result.
would you
Fuck
let
off.
your children drink in your basement
Yeah.
if you were a parent? Would you do
Yeah.
that? Yeah.
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 And
I'd
you're
rather.
doing it. You're doing it because, if they're gonna drink, you would at least want to be present, I suppose, right? Like I'd
Yeah,
rather
it's the safety
yeah,
aspect.
like if
right?
something happens, call me up. Here we go. Right?
It's not
Like,
because I'm afraid that my neighbor's gonna talk shit about me behind my back that I'm letting my kid run amok around town or drink or whatever.
What if you had already jerked off your neighbor?
Well,
We don't
I
want to
think
say
things change a little bit.
Give him some relief.
Yeah,
Pulled him.
yeah,
Give him-
Give him a
masturbated him.
yank.
Pumped him
Yeah.
off in the car.
Masturbated him.
Yeah.
That's a
Yeah.
good one.
Yeah.
Relieved him.
Relieved him. In
Yeah,
the car.
relieved him. They
Tossed
used
him.
both
I
those
like-
in the
okay.
documentary.
So if you like, I'm just saying though, like, even
Toss
that
some
is a bit of a
seed.
stretch.
Johnny
But
Appleseed in
would
him.
you now put your child on a plane to go and work for the person that already
Yeah, of course.
kidnapped
Of
them?
course I would. Yeah, duh.
Because
Duh.
they're gonna.
We all
do
saw
it
the
anyways.
documentary, of course you
Same-
would.
Same premise, right? Like
premise.
the drinking.
Yeah.
The drinking.
Because that makes fucking
Good
sense.
point. Same point. Same point.
Same point. Like if they're gonna do it anyways, at least like do you at least then invite
no,
the pedophile
That-
to the home?
I mean, I get what the I get how you're trying to make a parallel here. It does make sense
Yeah.
when you put it on paper like that. And also with the whole jerking each other off, fucking.
Also,
behind-
you
that
gotta
whole,
add
that whole
it in.
backstory.
It's-
That whole backstory is relevant. But
it's a
no,
factor.
you don't put her on a fucking plane.
No, you don't.
No.
You do not do that.
No.
You don't enable that. I think is the
You
answer.
let the kid try and run away.
yeah.
Right? You let
Good
the
luck.
if they're that serious about this, you just let
No.
them do it, and that's what you fucking deal with. You don't just hand
Yeah.
it over to the person that's putting it in
I
inch
think-
by inch or whatever.
I think you tell your child that you're taking them to Disneyland, and then you just lock them in the shed.
I think he could, for one,
chain 'em up.
you know, get a
Chain 'em
restraining
up.
order
Sorry.
so that guy can stop calling
Yeah,
the house
you're
This is
every
your
day.
new brother lawnmower.
See, that's yeah. Where's the restraining order?
Why is this guy
Nowhere.
calling the house every day talking? Like,
No.
kids are fucking stupid. If she's like 12
Yeah.
and in love with some 40-year-old, like if she doesn't talk to him for 6 months, she's gonna get over it. Like,
For
just
sure.
Keep her in the
I don't
goddamn
know though.
basement.
She thought she had a mission.
Atari's new. It's the
Even-
hot new
Give
thing.
her
Like,
some Atari.
give her some fucking Atari.
But yeah,
You know,
it's
break
like,
that
just,
wall
like,
down in her sister's
let
bedroom.
him, you know, call her
I
every
don't
day
know.
and talk about whatever. And
Say what you want about like the whole process, but like the telling this little girl about this alien thing is like just the best plan
Oh,
for
it's
what
genius,
this man
yeah.
did.
He's-
Is
The
absolutely
fact that it
genius.
worked. The fact that it
Yeah.
worked is just Unbelievable.
No, like it like I say, like even Jan mentioned how it was like, I've heard this story every Christmas about Mary getting pregnant from a it was amazing to me that, like, I don't know, people would believe that. A child would believe that because the things that people teach their kids at an early age. When you should be teaching them about
granted,
pedophiles.
this is 20 years removed. But we grew up in the 90s.
For sure.
Before there was access to information so easily, right? Like, you still had to go to the library if you were that type of person. I wasn't, but you had to go to your index thing and look through the index and fucking go and pick out the book and, or you got your information.
Never did that once.
Never did that, but it was a thing. What I'm saying is, you couldn't just fucking Google. The information was not readily available. All the shit that you heard was from people at school, right? Yeah. And people in the neighborhood. Yeah. And granted, we're 20 years removed from when this happened, but and a lot had changed, I'm sure, in those 20 years. But still, it's like you knew right and wrong. Whether you're caught up in religion, this and that, as parents, as a fucking adult, you knew right and wrong, right? Yeah. And to let fucking, after all this, like after the first disappearance, the guy's he's sleeping over 4 nights a week for a year with your fucking kid because it's part of his therapy. And you're just like, oh yeah, well, I guess.
Here's another thing.
Normal.
I don't know about you guys, man. But I don't think I've ever, as a child, been in a car or in a situation with another adult that wasn't my parents, that didn't involve me being there because it was like a parent driving us to a sporting event or something.
Totally. It wasn't just me and them.
I was always I was always with one of their kid and them. Or my parents were there. There was never I can't think of a time ever where it was just like one friend of theirs would pick me up. Now I don't know. Maybe I'm
sure it's happened as a one-off thing.
Reeking of priv,
but it's not.
I don't know.
I can't think.
But no, I'm sure it's happened as a one-off thing, right?
Anywhere or doing anything.
No,
and
I just
never.
I just think that's kind of a red flag and weird in itself. That why would you ever
dude? She went on a family vacation with them.
Yeah.
Yeah. I get, again, though, I understand that. If the kids are going too, I totally get that. Yeah. Right? That happens. Though,
just the one of the 3 kids?
But there was, one story that they talk about where, the neighbor, B's neighbor, it was, an older dude, went on
they went boating or whatever.
They went boating and Jan went with them. Just the little girl. And he was and after that I decided I would never do anything with that man again, right? He saw
he's shady as fuck.
But, why, as a parent, why are you just letting, the little girl of 3...
Boats.
Dude, I don't know.
Yeah. You can't,
She likes horses.
Speaking of
fuck off.
Horses and boats. She loves Mexico.
She loves Mexico and horseback riding and sleeping in campers. One of my first red flags of the show was when the dad was speaking so glowingly of neighbor B right away.
Yeah.
And he's like, we had so much in common. Our names are both Bob. We both like business. That was the end of the list. Business? What the fuck does that mean?
And he gave him a fucking fruit basket.
We both like.
He gave him. Now, would you suck a dude off just because he gave you a fruit basket, man?
No,
would
but
you?
If we both
would you relieve him?
Business, I might do it.
We both like business, and we have the same names.
If you throw business in
leave them.
We Jesus
both
Christ.
Like business. Oh my god.
If you ever buy me a fruit basket, it's friends off. Man, I'm not playing this game with you.
And it was in the I don't know. In the house before you got home, that's the creepy bit. How the fruit basket, that's
get
just
that
evidence.
Fruit basket out of here.
And he fucking built the little girl a room. That's not,
dude. So many red flags.
So many red flags. Let's isolate her. It's
soundproof
fucked up.
that room.
I think the parents should lose something in all of this.
At least a finger.
They should have got charged with negligence or something.
Oh, yeah.
Something.
Right?
There's no way. I get that it's a happy ending and everyone walked away.
They got a book deal out of it.
Yeah, but fuck off. You suck as a parent, and you should have to wear a hood for the rest of your life.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
That's my.
Dude,
like,
when we used to get stoned as teenagers, you had this. You always had this funny idea that if you had AIDS, you'd have to get a. Remember, you had to get a skull and crossbones tattooed above your pubic, right on your pubic. That was your thing. If you had AIDS, you'd have to get this tattoo so that you couldn't fucking fool anybody. Come on, I know you're making the face, but we had this discussion a few times. We had different ideas of what the tattoo should be.
That. I'm not gonna admit. I don't know what you're talking about.
But if you're these fucking parents, you should have some kind of marker. Absolutely, tattoo it on the forehead.
Brand them.
Piece of shit.
It's the branding part of. I don't know.
Yeah, brand them. They deserve it.
There's no names involved, so it's a fine story to tell. And a debate on this topic.
Okay.
I remember when I first moved to Toronto, there was like a bouncer at like the regular like rock clubs we would all go to, and it's like, oh, that's this
Lee's?
dude. Not
Was
Lee's.
it the guy at Lee's? Oh, okay.
Guy at Hard Luck Bar. And,
Okay.
Yeah, and it's like, oh.
I think I know what you mean.
Yeah, and it was like a thing, like, he looked real tough and shit, and you're like, oh, I don't want to fuck with that guy. And then, like, one of my female friends was like, oh, and by the way, he's, like, HIV positive. And it's like, oh, like, you shouldn't. I thought it was weird to say it. And I was like, you just, like, spread, like, you just, like, out him like that kind of thing? Like, that's weird.
Yeah.
And it's just like, well, because he never acknowledges it and is, like, known for, like, still, like, sleeping with girls.
Pouring it up.
Yeah, so it's like he's not going to tell anybody, so it's like kind of on the public to spread it around and make it like known. And it's just that's a really interesting middle.
Shitty thing to do.
Both sides are like really shitty, like
Yeah.
I don't think
just to air someone else's dirty laundry.
Yeah,
but...
and he of course shouldn't be doing what he was doing, but that doesn't in my mind like justify you get to air his, health across the whole city to people like I don't know that fucking guy. I don't even know his name, but now I know this like.
But I mean, if now that's you. You're not sucking his dick or relieving him or masturbating him for any amount of fruit baskets. But if you were potentially in the circle of I could potentially have sex with this person, you might feel a little differently about it.
Yeah.
Right. Like she's saying it as a woman who maybe would have climbed that tree
or
otherwise.
Know somebody that did. I have no idea. I don't know.
Yeah,
the
exactly.
details.
Yeah,
but it's a sticky situation.
It's a little sticky. Yeah. Yeah. Does AIDS have a film to it? Stickiness to it? I mean,
well, there's no skull and crossbones tattoo. Suggested a moment ago.
No. I mean, it's pretty harsh, but I'm not against that. I'm not saying that it's like law mandated, but there should be some like.
It should
social
100%
mandate
be law mandated to disclose something like that, but
I think it is
to disclose it. Sure, the tattoo, maybe not the tattoo, but to disclose it, yeah.
I think tattoos in general are just a bad idea. That happened once before, didn't work out too well.
Yeah. Yeah. I got a couple.
Sure, if I could go back and tell my high school younger self the wrong path he was on, I'd probably still end up at where I am today.
Let's wrap up the story with B, though. So eventually, in the 90s, Mom starts writing the book, telling this whole story. And that's when he comes out of the woodwork again as, like, this old man that's like, yo, you can't write... I guess this is kind of like the story we just shared about the HIV guy. He's like, I was never charged with any fucking crimes. Like, you can't write a book and out me like this.
Yeah.
Like, that's fucking bullshit.
Yeah.
Like, I'm going to sue you. And then during that whole back and forth, like, there was, like, an altercation, and then he went to jail for something else.
Yeah,
he
apparently ran over a guy on a motorcycle or something.
Ran over a guy at a book show or book signing or something. Like,
Yeah.
And then he died in jail.
He might have ran over a guy.
He killed himself.
I love that you're just glossing over. Like,
I don't remember.
He kind of ran a guy over.
And
then he just killed himself.
Yeah, I guess he confronted her at one of the book premieres or book signings or something, and she had the Bikers Against Child Abuse as her muscle at this event, right? Or like making a statement too, right? Like to get some backing and some notoriety to it. I guess some following. And one of the bikers recognized the guy and went and jumped on his van or something, and so he sped off and ran him over, and
he had a gun.
He ended up getting arrested for like 3 felonies, having a firearm and whatever else, right?
In B's defense, if someone's jumping on your car, like I don't know how I feel about that.
Like I don't know that I'd stick around.
If someone's jumping on your car, I don't know how I would react. I wouldn't just stop. I'd turn my wipers on, maybe hit him with my fucking windshield wiper fluid.
Especially like a biker. Like it's not just like it's like an intimidating guy to come running and jump on your car.
Likely,
you're like backing up real quick.
Even the little
and he
twitchy
falls
ones,
off,
right?
And it's like So how did he kill himself in jail? He drank a whole bunch of
No, he didn't. It wasn't in jail. It was before he went to jail.
Okay. Yeah. He's out on bail.
He said he basically got found guilty of some shit. I think it was all just about like stalking her.
Stalking,
And
I thought it was the biker shit.
Oh, was it? Yeah, it might have been the biker shit.
I think it was like having a firearm, hit and run, all that crap.
And he had already had other priors, right? Yeah. Like a bunch of other shit, including child molestation charges, I guess. Like he had been like around the block.
Yeah.
And then he
had been in jail before that.
He took some sleeping pills and drank Kahlua and milk. And I think he took a bunch of other pills.
It was his heart meds.
Yeah.
He took
heart meds,
took all his
sleeping
heart meds.
pills, and Kahlua and milk, which is like,
that's a good way to
if
go.
there's ever a pedophile drink, it's fucking Kahlua and milk.
Well, the dude also drank that too.
Yeah, he did, but that's
you gotta
weird,
think the dude was hard on the White Russian.
Well, the dude abides.
The dude also just wore his underwear and like a fucking bathrobe everywhere.
Yeah.
Let's not fucking shed a light on the dude because he's still cool, but there might be some seedy shit going on.
Yeah.
For all we know, that was a full.
Yeah.
Like,
there's always talk about like a
bowling
sequel
league.
to Big Lebowski, and like I hope they don't because it's definitely gonna end up with him being a pedophile.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And telling some little girl about aliens and stuff. It's gonna get weird.
It could go there. Yeah. Yeah, so anyways, the guy ended up fucking offing himself, which I guess is bittersweet, right? It would have been nice to see him get like the justice he deserved,
would be nice.
Or like justice against him and
going out on.
I'm a big fan of people that are shitty just rotting in jail forever.
Fuck yeah.
Yeah, that's a good.
I think that's
put him in the hole.
Bunch of heart meds and a
like maybe like treat him like a human being. Treat him like a human being, but they're just you're not getting out of jail. You don't want to treat him like
I'd say there's certain crimes where like you've relinquished that right to be treated like I firmly believe that.
You're
like
gonna tattoo him. Like
from my point of view, you've relinquished that right to be treated like a fucking human being. All this bullshit, all this pain and suffering you've caused, like an innocent person and all these people that are affected outside of it. No, fuck you. Sit in a hole and rot.
Yeah. So is it wrong to tattoo someone for their crimes?
No, I don't think it is.
Like if you commit a crime, I mean, like straight up, you commit a crime. I'm not talking about
we're not talking the millions that got fucking stamped during World War II because they were not guilty of anything.
Who they were, like that's guilty of nothing.
I think that's why getting tattooed for your crimes or whatever might have a bad name because
a Paul Bernardo,
No, fucking tattoo.
A Bruce MacArthur, one of these dudes, like
right on the
could
forehead.
you tattoo them? Forehead? Are you going forehead?
Forehead.
I think a life sentence and a forehead tattoo is not asking too much.
Nope.
Yeah. But they could just cover it up, I think is the thing.
Well, that's on them. They have to get this big, ugly scar of a tattoo removed on their forehead.
Yeah.
Yeah, under their eyes, maybe.
See, maybe part of their probationary period is that they don't get it covered up, so they have to rock this fucking forehead tattoo as long as they're on probation. It'd be a breach of probation if they did anything to tamper with it.
No, I don't know.
A life sentence in Canada
I get what you're
last
saying.
very long.
Maybe sex offenders. Like if you're on a list.
Yeah.
You know.
Now, I was listening to a podcast the other
I'm
day,
also a
and they
big
said
fan.
there
Just
were-
for the
there
record,
are
I'm also a big fan of like if you've done your time, you give me
You've done the
10
crime.
years, you're done,
Yeah.
right? Like it doesn't
Done the crime,
necessarily
done the time.
depending on like what you've done.
Yeah,
There's
for
right?
levels.
in some
Crimes.
cases,
there's levels.
but
Yeah.
there's other cases where like, yeah, like it just hits a
Yeah.
little harder or something.
Yeah, like if you're like I don't know, abducting children, maybe you get a tattoo.
For every year that the child,
But, like, I
every
was
time
listening to
you
this
abduct
podcast-
the same kid.
Every time you abduct the same kid, you have to get a portrait of their face. Like I don't know, on your face.
Yeah. Now we've all heard the story of like, you know, people who make the national sex offenders list because they got caught peeing in the wrong area, right? They're
Yeah.
peeing close to a
Yeah.
school or a playground or whatever. I heard recently that there's like 12 states where you can still make the national sex offenders list for that.
Wow.
I don't know what it's like in Canada, if it's like, you know, if that's a thing or if it's the nation or if it's just province to province, but there's 12 states, which I thought was like, you know, pretty shocking.
I feel like
Wow.
you would never actually get charged for that. That's just the go-to excuse. Like, I wasn't jerking, I was pissing. Like, that's
Yeah.
just an easy excuse. Like, I wasn't exposing myself, I was just
Yeah, yeah.
relieving myself.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah, with a
That's
boner.
fair.
Yeah, because, like, I pee regularly in public. Like, just, like,
Yeah, me
walking
too.
home from somewhere. And
If you're
I
You
can't
don't really
Pissed
pay
boner.
much mind where you are.
But I can't imagine ever like a cop pulling up and like, oh, that's a sex crime because that's like outside some little kid's house. Like, no way. You'd get whatever other ticket.
And, like-
the cops aren't that stupid.
Especially if it's a male cop.
Yeah.
It's like you don't pee with a boner. You
Yeah.
can't really.
No, you
like
can't
it's
really.
not the same. Like you can't really pee with
Yeah.
a full-on boner. So
You totally can.
I mean, if you
can.
got a
It's
boner,
it's a different pee.
likely not peeing.
No, you can pee. I've done it.
Oh, you have to do it regularly, you know, but it's,
Yeah.
there's an arc on it. Like,
When you wake up in the morning and you're just like you wake up with like some morning wood, but you also wake up with a full bladder and you just gotta piss really, and it's like I can't wait, and you just
yeah. There's
you gotta
some-
angle it.
You wouldn't be doing that outside of school, though.
No, I own a toilet. I have the ability to go to a toilet and relieve myself with
Yeah.
my piss boner. You know,
Yeah, piss boners are.
you know it's a
Piss
thing.
boners are
Like
things.
you can definitely piss with a boner.
Yeah, but it's not easy.
No.
It's definitely not
No,
easy.
You need two hands.
But neither is pimping. You know, you just gotta do it. You
I'm cutting
you
out.
got-
I can't hear you. There's a lot of
You-
redirecting going on. That's what I'm saying.
I don't know. I think you could like. Fuck. I don't know. Let's not go there.
Let's not
Talk about gut pisses or nothing.
No, that's off limits for sure. Should we just wrap this up then? Is there anything else on this case that we want to get into?
I don't know. Do you think he did it?
Of course he did it. Of course he did it. Something that's a little bit blurry though.
Is that up for debate?
They talked about like before she got kidnapped the first time, he would sleep over all the time, and she woke up one time with like her pants down at her ankles and just thought like
On the trampoline,
Yeah,
yeah.
like, hey,
she
what the
bounced them
fuck?
off.
Yeah, come on.
and then she said like, oh, the first few times I had sex, he'd only like stick it in like an inch or something. So I wonder
Yeah.
like how many times I did actually have sex.
That counts as sex. That
Yeah,
is
that
exactly
definitely
what
counts.
sex
And
is.
him like sleeping over and just like diddling her and like getting her full of sleeping pills. I just mean like the story's not really complete.
Ugh. No, I don't know. Like,
I don't know.
okay, yeah.
I don't.
If there's sleeping pills involved,
Yeah, oh,
And
some
an
shit
inch of
was going
sex.
on for sure.
an inch of sex is still a
It's
sex.
not, especially on a 12-year-old.
Especially on a 12-year-old. That poor girl.
Yeah,
Like that,
yeah.
it's just so wild
It's
that
nuts. And she
that
seems
was.
okay now, like as an adult.
She's
Somehow.
actually an actress.
Because she says she is, or because she's in movies?
No, she is. She was on like some show, Everwood or something. She, I looked that up. That was part of it. And like,
Who, Jan?
Jan, yeah. Jan was ended up, she's an actress, yeah. Yeah.
Well, final thoughts as far as that goes. I was cutting out there for the last couple minutes. But I want to get back to the peeing with a boner thing.
Yeah.
If you're going to pee with a boner, you might as well be outside because it's chaos, right? Like, yeah, you can pee with a boner, but it's not easy. It's not rewarding. You definitely don't want to do it in your own toilet if you can help it. So it's like you might as well be outside.
You have to
right?
sit down.
Yeah, you got to sit down. Sit down,
if you have a boner in your own home and you got to piss, you got to sit down. It's nature. Murphy's Law, I think they call it.
Something like that.
Boner law. Since we're like losing Mikey, let's wrap this one up, boys.
All right.
Okay.
Thank you, Frontline Fiesta, for the insanely catchy intro, outro. You can download us on Spotify, iTunes, Stitcher, Google Play, iHeartRadio. Subscribe on YouTube and Instagram. Final thoughts?
Don't put Twinkies on your pizza.
Oh,
I don't know.
Good. That's a good one.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good one. I guess that'll do.
I'll do. Until next time. Thanks.
Thank you. Yeah. Good night, guys.
Yeah.
Thanks, everybody, for tuning in this week. We are Pretty Much Experts. You can check us out on iTunes, Stitcher, Google Play, and YouTube. While you're at it, go have a look at our Facebook page. You can ask an expert any time of day or night, whatever you like. And if you're into it, be sure to like, subscribe, and comment. We want to hear from you, baby. Thanks again, everybody. Tune in next week. We are Pretty Much Experts, and we love you, I guess.